is it okay now? Are you back? Come back, all of you, please inform everybody. Only 5 people have joined. Hello? Yeah, D9, are you able to see the screen? You can unmute and reply. F1, 412.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Good. Yeah. And yeah, delivery. System must deliver the data to the correct destination. Okay. The recipient should be correct person. So this is important. Similarly, accuracy. That means delivery. Data should be as it is. Should be. Delivered to the recipient. Timeliness. That means within the specified time, it should be able to deliver it. So because this timeliness is important for certain applications, because if data is reached destination, though it is reached in the without any corruption, without any and reaches the right receiver, but still, if the time is elapsed, then it becomes meaningless. Like examination, we take example of examination. Question paper should reach before the examination starts or within limited time, so that students can write the exam. Otherwise, if question paper reaches the destination after the examination is completed, time is completed, then it is becomes meaningless, right? So that's why for some applications this timeliness, okay, is equally important. Okay. And similarly, jitter is variation in the packet arrival rate. So one packet to another packet, because this normally communication takes place in packets. Total message is divided into multiple packets. One packet at a time sent. Receiver can reassemble to get towards the total message. So variation in the one packet to another packet should be uniform. The delay packet to packet should be always uniform. That is important for some applications like speech or video. If packets are coming at a regular interval, so then you can appreciate that total transmission and information received by either audio or video. If there is a lot of variation from one packet to another packet arrival, so then it becomes again not acceptable to the application. Like suppose we are screening a video, one frame comes now and the second frame comes after a few minutes and the third frame comes maybe after 5-10 minutes, something like that. Then it becomes totally meaningless video. So same thing is applicable for speech. So for any real-time application, jitter is an important significant parameter. So the variation from one packet to another packet, the delay variation should not be more than a certain amount. It means mild variation can be there, but it should not be too much of variation. So that's why jitter timeliness and jitter becomes for some applications. Similarly, accuracy delivery is applicable for everything. Yeah. Now comes protocols and standards. Normally we come across protocols and standards here. So we have another 5 minutes. Let me complete it. So protocols, we said there are handshaking mechanism, and similarly, when these protocols become standards are followed by everybody, are precisely defined, then it becomes a standard. Let's see what they look like. Okay. Now let's see protocol. Protocol is defined as format of the message, order of the messages to be exchanged, and action to be taken upon receiving that message. Okay. So the protocol defines this thing, how the information to be formatted, and in what order they be exchanged, and what action to be taken when it is received. Okay, all these things are defined in protocols. Okay, so protocol will have some syntax, that means the structure of the format of the data. That means when you are sending it, what are the different fields: header field, information field, trailer field, error control, flow control field. So how many fields are there? Okay, what is each length of this one? Semantics. So that means within that field, how each of the field to be interpreted. So it may, each field may comprise of certain bits. How these bits to be interpreted, that is defined by syntax. So sorry, semantics. Syntax defines structure of the structure format of the data. So how many fields are there? Each field, what is the meaning of it? Semantic defines how to interpret that. Similarly, timing. When the data should be sent or what speed it should be sent. When the data should be sent or at what speed it should be sent. Data rates or time intervals between one packet to another packet. How much time you can wait or how many times you can repeat in case of not received properly. All these things are defined by time. So every protocol will have syntax, semantics, and timing well defined. Okay. Whereas coming to standards, there are two types of standards. This protocol defined can become a standard when it is precisely defined. That means exactly defined the timing, how much time it's there, and when short, when it should reply back. All these things when precisely defined, it becomes a standard. Because standards is required, though protocol is same protocol is followed and developed by different manufacturers. So if these timings are not properly or uniformly maintained, those protocols will not be able to operate each other. So two products of the same vendor following the same protocol may work together, but protocols developed by different vendors need not work properly unless they also meet the standards of that protocol. Okay, so these standards are two types: de facto standard or de jure standard. De facto is, it is become a standard because of already large number of people are using that one, and the new persons whoever is coming to develop that or follow the protocol, he should also follow the same thing. There is no way option for him to deviate from that, because already market is dominated by a single person or some people who are whose products are already deployed and already in existence, working it widely. So any new manufacturers coming there, unless he follows, his device will not work operate with others. So he will be isolated totally. So that type of standard is called de facto standard. De jure is by law. Here in this case, standard is defined and officially released. Once it is released, products are developed. Whereas in the de facto, products are developed, then because of dominance of that product, that has become a standard. Whereas de jure, first standard is defined, then products come into picture. Right? This is the difference between these two. And similarly, in internet standards, there are internet standards are called these RFCs, recommended for comments. Okay, so every standard will have certain number. It is prefixed by RFC. RFC XYZ. That means RFC 125, RFC 789, RFC 1224, something like that. So that number specifies what standard it is, and RFC is recommended for standard. It indicates internet standard. But anything becomes before becoming a standard, internet standard, it follows, it goes through a certain process. So this process is indicated here. First, somebody prepares a draft of that protocol. Then he proposes to internet organization, which we will see later. then it becomes a proposed standard. Then it is distributed to all the people, and manufacturers. Manufacturers will come out and they are given some 6 months time. Within that, if two people found to be useful and implement come out with the product, then it becomes draft standard. Once it becomes draft standard, otherwise, then again for another 4 months are given to test it further. So if they are satisfied with it, then it becomes internet standard. If it fails in between anywhere, it gets dropped automatically. So it becomes non-existent. So internet draft from there, proposed draft from there, draft standard from there, internet standard. Once it becomes internet standard, everybody will follow it and becomes a history. And in certain cases, there are some standards, internet standards, they are only for. Okay. I think time is. What happened to this? Are you able to see this still? Yeah. Can you respond back? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in certain cases, these standards are developed only for information purpose. Then they are called informational standards. Sometimes they are called only experimental basis, not for real use, for only experiment. Then it becomes experimental status. Then similarly, based on how much useful they are, how much useful they are, these RFCs are defined into different classes. Required, that means they are compulsorily required by everybody in the internet. So every product developer must follow it and implement those RFCs. There are some recommended projects. It's not optional. That means not compulsorily to be implemented by every project. And elective, these are only selected people can develop and use it. Limited, again, similar to elective, only limited few people. And not required. These are not required to be, not important, not necessary at all. So like this, based on how much relevant to the users, they are classified into different levels: required, recommended, elective, or limited, not required. Similarly, internet administration, if you see, the whole internet is administered by Internet Society, ISOC. So it is helped by, assisted by another wing of that called Internet Architecture Board, IAB. So this IAB divided into two parts. One is the IRTF, Internet Research Task Force, another one is Internet Engineering Task Force. Internet Research Task Force takes care of all the new developments of new protocols, standards. That is done by IRSC, Internet Research Study Groups. It is divided into multiple research groups. Each research group work on different research area. Similarly, Internet Engineering Task Force, this takes care of implementation of standardized RFCs, which have become a standard, internet standard, and how they are being used by this. So Internet Engineering Task Force takes care of implementation and administration of these standards. So that is done by Internet Engineering Study Groups. This is again further divided into area-wise working groups. These are all working groups. These working groups work on different areas. So that's how whole Internet administration works. And there is another one more body, ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. This organization takes care of assigning IP addresses and domain names, which we will discuss later. There is one more term, forums. These forums' main work is to test the products developed by different people following the same standard to whether they can interoperate. That means those devices can be, though they are claiming that they are following the same standard, but whether they can work together or not. That means precisely implemented or not. So these forums test them and generate reports. Based on the reports, so the vendor can appropriately modify in case there is a failure, or users, it will be useful for users to procure that one. Users can always find out which product is working with more number of other products, so that it will be more useful for them. So these forums are useful for testing the interoperability of the products following a certain standard. Only ICANN is responsible for assigning names and IP numbers and domain names of this one. So, okay. So that's how this entire organization works. And I think it's time for you. Let us stop here and meet tomorrow. Okay. Right. Okay. Bye. I'm stopping here because you have to go to the other class now.